Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We're going to start it all off with a little bit of AEW with Dynamite review. Talk about, basically everything that went down. Some pretty good stuff, pretty crazy stuff. But hey, Tony Khan feels like he has what it takes to be in the top competitors when it comes to the wrestling game. So hey, I trust the guy. We're gonna follow that up with a little bit of our Thursday night wrestling preview. This includes Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, also Impact Wrestling. And our third segment, we're going to talk about, we have our hot seat cool beans in terms of superstars in AEW who need to step it up or just kind of cool it out in terms of AEW Dynamite. So that should be exciting. And to cap it all off, we have our Sweet 16 of WW, well, not just WWE in general, but just wrestling factions, like, your favorite factions like the NWO, the Corporate Ministry, the McMahon-Helmsley era, the Corporation, the Shield, on and on and on. We have so many factions. It was really hard to like actually limit down to 16. At first, I was like, you know what? I don't think I can think of 16. And the moment I started doing research, and I was like, oh, stuff. Like, I only have 16 spots. Like, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, I'm pretty excited about that. Hope you guys made your wrestling faction Sweet 16 bracket. But, before we get into that, I would, we get a number of questions during the show from viewers that, if you guys want to, if you guys want your questions to get read on air, which I would like to talk to you guys, like to, go back and forth, have conversations. I want to hear your opinions. Obviously, I am the host, but overall, the audience has the power. But, no, without being silly, I ask you to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions up on top of the list so I can see it. And it really helps the show. A positive review leaves, it goes miles and miles and miles. Much like in life, just, the slightest kind gesture towards someone could lead to something, awesome, lead to a better world, with less hate, with less, well, this isn't, a political podcast, so it's best we move on. But anyways, the link is the gsmcpodcast.net. So, yeah, leave your questions. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me if you hate me. Please don't hate me. I'm just kidding. No, with all jokes aside, mate, we're going to talk about the AEW review, and I'm going to do it all today in an Australian accent. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not going to. That would be a huge, like, pain. Can be a pain in the ass, but, obviously people from Australia would be like, oh, I can do that, no problem. And be like, hey, like, I don't have that, and that outdoor back, like kind of, accent. But hey, I have my GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. I have that accent. So hey, let's jump on into it because we have a bunch of stuff to do, and I'm just rambling on and on and on. If you want to hit the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net and tell me how much of a fool I'm making myself, that's also a possibility as well. So, I'm just kidding. No, all right. So we have the AEW review. We have Samoa Joe versus Dustin Rhodes. I kind of want to start it off with this match because this was pretty big. Honestly, this was very, very big. You kind of kind of saw a soft side of Samoa Joe. Obviously, he was hurt. He was beat down by Swerve Strickland, and then but also you see Dustin Rhodes, like he basically says he has nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing. Much like his brother, who was like, "Hey, like I'm here to finish my story. I'm gonna put it all out on the line. I've been without WWE before. I can do, whatever I want in the independent circuit if it all doesn't work out." So, kind of Dustin Rhodes kind of hit on that. But all in all, before the match even started, Swerve Strickland jumped Samoa Joe, and I don't know. And although Samoa Joe was beat down, and although he looked really weak, he was still able to, bust open Dustin Rhodes. He had the blood going down his face and stuff like that. Like, absolutely nuts. Like, that's crazy. That's AEW, though. That's the reason why, they're PG-13 and the WWE is PG. But, not hating. Not hating. whatsoever. But he was still able to pick up the win, and that was very, very important. Like, although he looked like he was beaten down, he got, hit by Swerve. He was able to, be the professional, kind of, rise above that. And, sometimes a WWE champion or just like a champion in general, although you have the stacks against you, you know, all odds at all odds. If you're the David and like Goliath story, you're gonna rise up and you're gonna do what it takes to win that championship back, or be able to maintain your status in the given promotion or organization. So I think that's pretty cool for Samoa Joe. Next, we're going to talk about a TNT Championship title match between Adam Copeland and Penta El Zoro. So this match was actually very, very good. I watched it. It was one of the better matches in AEW according to ratings on online. But like I feel for Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland, like I feel like not that he feels like he has to put AEW on his back coming recently from the WWE, but you can tell that he cares. You can tell a lot of these superstars care. Absolutely. They look at these ratings and stuff like that, and they kind of seem like a WCW going down and or like a WWE like toppling over them. But you can tell that they care, just based on the authenticity of their matches. Like and you watch an AEW episode and you get lost. Like, although like a couple of weeks ago, the average like a little under 2,000 fans, which is pretty bad. But I don't know. I don't think it's over yet. I don't think it's over yet. Um, I really hope AEW does something to, spark the plug. But this was like a 20-minute match, back and forth. Very, very good. Like I said before, Adam Copeland was able to win it all with the spear. And, on this day, I see clearly every day. Like, and then his hit music started. And I'm actually surprised he got that from WWE. I'm surprised he got that released. But, I'm glad he did because that song is like, you know, that's Edge. That's Edge right there. That's Adam Copeland. That's the guy who created TLC. That's the rated R superstar. That's the guy who was the first to cash in the Money in the Bank and win at Revolution to beat John Cena. Which was actually pretty cool. So good for Adam Copeland. Once when the match was over, it was pretty smooth for an open challenge. Usually open challenge kind of run like, like it's cool and all, but usually there's a superstar who just loses in like a, blink of an eye. Well, of course, as of WWE standards, well, not WWE standards, as of Vince McMahon WWE standards. That's kind of how it was when it comes to like an open challenge. But I like the open challenges on AEW. I really, really do. I feel like they have some top tier matches. They have some pretty good, authentic, fundamental matches, and it keeps the fans involved, which is pretty crucial. So, I hope the best goes for that. The post match, you had the lights go out, you had Julie Hart show up. Everybody was like, "What is this girl doing here?" Especially in the men's matchup. But and then you saw the side of Brody King. Brody King came out choking out Adam Copeland, and it was kind of like kind of like a foreshadow toward AEW Dynamite, Dynasty, where Adam Copeland's teaming up with Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston to fight House of Black. So ultimately Edge was in Adam was in trouble, and Willow of Nightingale like came out and she was able to kind of even the odds a little bit. You know, Brody King wanted to attack her, but he was like, "Oh, I can't. Like, you can't do the, can't do this stuff, man." So then that, like, kind of, that kind of foreshadows maybe like a mixed tag team match that's gonna happen next week, the AEW before, before AEW Dynasty. So that that'd be pretty cool to see. I would love to see that. It's been a while since you've seen something like that, like a mixed tag team match or like a guy and a girl against another guy and a girl. But like you see that usually at WrestleMania, you have John Cena teaming with Nikki Bella against like the Miz and Maurice. But I don't know, it's kind of cool to see that that bond like on a regular show to show to basis. That's they should probably make a title like that. Like I think they did in WWE. They had like a little tournament. Like all I know is Alexa Bliss was teamed up with Braun Strowman, and they were able to totally kill it. kind of like a mixed tag team like tag team championship where you have the women, you have the men, and I don't know. I think that'd be pretty dope. I think that'd be pretty cool because usually in terms of professional wrestling, like with any stable, you have like a group of guys, and there's always that one woman. There's always that one woman to kind of be like the facilitator or like the manager and stuff like that. Like kind of like Selena Vega in the LWO, kind of like Maxine Dupree in terms of the Alpha Academy. Like it'd be interesting to see like kind of like a mixed tag team match where a woman and a man could team up and win some kind of title or some kind of gold or stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But next, moving on, we had the Young Bucks. AEW wasn't fooling. They weren't Cap. They weren't, pulling our legs, and they actually lived up to the promise. They showed the footage of, what happened during All in London in terms of CM Punk and, Jack Perry. And a lot of people like, oh my God, like I've been, keeping on tabs with wrestling Twitter. And like I heard from Bully Ray, I've heard from like Mark Henry, I've heard from a lot of people in terms of the industry being like, what are they trying to accomplish here? Like, why is this happening? Like, come on, like that happened so much long ago. If you wanted to be a part of the storyline, you should have re-signed CM Punk. And CM Punk, like I see a lot of like Twitter things be like, oh, Tony Khan is a clown. CM Punk was right. AEW's bull spit. And then like I don't know, you kind of think you're like, I don't want to. You never want to really give in to the Twitter banter. If y'all listening to me, if you're in the audience right now, and if you have a Twitter and you purposely go on Twitter to trash somebody, don't do that, man. Like, come on, dude. Like we're human beings. The human beings 101. If you have nothing else to say, don't say it at all. That's absolutely of course there's fun like little banter and stuff like that. But if you're gonna say something maliciously that it's unnecessary, just don't do it, dude. Just don't do it. So with CM Punk footage kind of going live, you kind of had the Young Bucks, and I heard from a source that the Young Bucks were they didn't want to do it. They really honestly didn't want to do this promo. It was Tony Khan really promoting it and really pushing for it. And essentially, guys, like, and I'm not trying to seem too dark, but right now, Tony Khan, the Young Bucks is like literally that's all they have right now. Like that's the reason why they're the EVPs. That's the reason why they're in creative and stuff like that, which is wrong, because I feel like the moment the Young Bucks started, running the show, started being like, I don't know, it just seems like they're different. And it could be me, it could be my wrestling fan mentality, but their matches are different, their promos are different. You can just kind of see the like I don't know, they just seem uncomfortable, which makes the fans uncomfortable. And with the AEW executives running out, obviously Tony Khan wants to bring in someone he trusts. And obviously, when they started AEW, Tony Khan, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, et cetera, like he keeps those guys close. He keeps those guys close just so he could, have someone that he trusts. And you can't really blame that on Tony Khan. I heard he's a really nice guy, not really good boss, CM Punk. But like I really hope they pull it together, man. I really hope they pull it together for AEW, especially in terms of ratings, because WWE right now is at the absolute like best they can possibly be. So, I'm not trying to say all hope is lost because I don't want that. I like AEW. I want it to succeed because them succeeding means that WWE or Paul Levesque will dig into their bag of tricks and bring a brand new, absolute entertaining yet stunning product to the professional wrestling fans, industry. So obviously that's what I want to see. I want, you love seeing competition. But kind of moving forward, we're kind of running out of time for segment one. But like you said, CM Punk footage, crazy. Jordan Grace challenging Natalia, crazy. Natalia retaliating. That rhymed. That's crazy. No, focusing on the main point. Natalia retaliating to Jordan Grace's challenge on Twitter/X. That's absolutely crazy. You have the CM Punk footage air on AEW ground. Like, what does this mean? What does this mean as wrestling? Does this mean that AEW is absolutely desperate? So they feel like, to gain fans and, in their promos, they have to include WWE stars. That could be it. Absolutely. 110%. Absolutely. That could be it. Or maybe there's something happening behind the scenes. Like maybe Paul Levesque and Tony Khan are finally, going to merge professional wrestling for the first time in ever. Because for the longest time, WWE didn't really want to be a part of any other wrestling organization. And that was mostly because of Vince McMahon. Absolutely. Mostly because of Vince McMahon. But Triple H kind of sees this and he's like, you know what? Because when you think about it, you saw WCW go under, you saw ECW go under, you saw Impact take a hit. What did WWE do? Who did they sign? They signed stars like Scott Steiner. They signed stars like, AJ Styles. They signed stars like, Booker T. They signed stars like Billy Kidman. And it just, the list goes on. And they eventually got Sting in their promos. So Triple H kind of thinks like, hey, like, at first when these guys invaded WWE, the invasion back in 2002, eventually they kind of moved into WWE creative later, down the line when the wrestlers were a little more seasoned. But honestly, you gotta get, think outside the box here. Like, and I think that's why Paul Levesque is kind of like open to anything, like, a merger when it comes to Tony Khan Promotions or Impact Wrestling or New Japan Professional Wrestling, is because he knew that eventually WWE would have these stars because they're larger than life. And you can't really, blame that on Triple H to be like, oh, like, I want to bring these guys because, they're going to bring good things to our company. Like, imagine if it was done right when WWE Invasion took place, if all the stars from WCW were taken care of. What if they had good storylines? What if they had good promos? What if they had good, alliances? Or what if they had a tag team like, but they weren't. They were, absolutely, buried by Vince McMahon. And obviously, like if things went down a little different, I think WWE today would be a way better product. Obviously, you probably have Sting maybe being more than just like a gimmick. Maybe he'd be like a two-time WWE champion. Like you don't know that. And I don't know, that's crazy. I feel like Paul Levesque kind of sees the errors that happened during the Vince McMahon era, and he's like, hey, like we kind of need to change that. Like, we shouldn't like just shut out these guys. Speaking of Triple H, Will Ospreay during the AEW Dynamite, basically kind of like gave like a personal jab at Triple H. Said the only reason why he's kind of in that promotion or kind of like in the space he is now is he was basically grinding on the boss, or Stephanie McMahon, like the boss's daughter. Obviously that's not true. Obviously that's very not true, because Triple H, like, he busted his ass. He was able to promote young talent, and it's fitting for Will Ospreay to kind of, out of frustration or out of not jealousy because he wasn't signed to WWE, but kind of like seeing all the other wrestlers getting attention, and he signed with AEW, and he's like, man, like, I kind of want the attention that like some of these guys in WWE's getting, which is good, which is what you as a WWE or as a professional wrestler in general want to do. You want to build up your brand. You want to build up a lot of audience around you, just so like knowing that wherever you go, whatever happens, you're going to get paid. Absolutely, you're going to get paid. And that, we talked about that before about like professional wrestling in general. So, you know, anyway, so like I said, the Young Bucks, they aired footage of what happened with CM Punk, and I gotta be honest, the one thing I noticed, and like I read articles about it, and like researched it like long after it aired, but the moment the Young Bucks did their thing and talked trash on FTR, they went to the broadcast booth where you saw Tony Schiavone. You pay attention to the right side of your screen, you can see it. You can see him like, bro, are you serious? We just freaking did that right now? Like, who are we? Like AEW, like that could have might as well been like the nail in the coffin for AEW. I know I might have said the WrestleMania 40 might have been the nail in the coffin for AEW, but like highlighting that footage, like you can tell like so many of the superstars were against it. I heard Will Ospreay was against talking bad about or hitting like a personal jab at Triple H, but then he did it, for Tony Khan's promotion. And then the Young Bucks not wanting to do that with CM Punk, but ultimately Tony Khan pulled the trigger on that. And then now you have Tony Khan basically like it's just not good. It's just not good right now. And you can tell by Tony Schiavone, he's been part of Jim Crockett Promotions. He's been part of WCW. He's been part of Impact Wrestling. Talk about a guy who's seen everything inside and out, knowing damn well what kills an organization, what profits an organization, and what helps the wrestling business kind of just stay astray. Kind of just float on there. You get ratings, you don't. But ultimately, you're still alive. But I don't know. I saw that when they turned to Tony Schiavone, and honestly, his face basically told it all. So, good thing, I love Tony Schiavone. I want to see him and Jim Ross do something together for WWE. That would never happen unless the Forbidden Door is opened. And maybe Paul Levesque era will open that Forbidden Door. So, on that. All right. Well, don't go anywhere. Thank you for hearing me rambling on and on and on and on about, AEW. Don't go anywhere. We have our Thursday Night Wrestling preview. We're going to talk about Ring of Honor, Total Impact Wrestling, and Impact Wrestling's pay-per-view. That's going to happen at the Palms Resort Casino in Las Vegas. So, hey, don't go anywhere.